If you're thinking about joining the United States Army, before you go see the recruiter, I want to help you out. I want to tell you about some things that you should not tell your recruiter, should not talk to your recruiter about. What's up, my friends? U.S. Army veteran Christopher Chaos, and today I want to help you out. I want to help you maybe have an idea into the back of your head as to what should I not be telling my recruiter, because it potentially could eliminate you from joining the Army, maybe even make things harder for you to join the Army. There's a lot of kind of factors in there. So I want to tell you about some things that I recommend that you probably should not tell your recruiter. Now, if you're someone that wants to join the Army, someone who is currently in the Army, or even someone that was in the Army at some point in time, I am here to help you. That's what I create videos for, is to help that demographic right there. So take a look down below. Are you subscribed to this channel? If not, I definitely recommend you hit that subscribe button. Also click on that bell so you get alerts as soon as new videos go live, to include the live streams and become a part of that awesome notification platoon. So let's dive into some things that I recommend you should not be telling your recruiter. A little bit of a disclaimer before we kind of get into that is do not lie, all right? I'm gonna be telling you some things about, what not to tell your recruiter, but in the back of your mind, keep this into that back of your mind, that do not lie, okay? Because if you do lie, there's a chance you could get caught lying, and if you get caught lying, then that breaks trust with your recruiter. Your recruiter is probably not gonna feel that you are a trustworthy individual and is not gonna be very willing to want to help you get what you want to get into the Army, or even bother with trying to get you into the Army in the first place. So just kind of keep that in your mind, okay? That you are not going to lie. But I'm gonna tell you some things that, aren't telling you to lie, but telling you things that you probably shouldn't tell the recruiter about. The first one is every single thing from your past that is related to medical type of things, right? If you're saying that I was 13 and I had asthma, I jumped on a trampoline one time and it kind of hurt my knee a little bit, right? They don't care. Those things could potentially just make things harder for you. Especially if it's not something that you are currently diagnosed with, something you're currently receiving treatment for, something you're currently taking medication for. They probably don't care about those kind of things. And if you disclose things, every single little thing, they're gonna be like, ooh, man, this guy sounds like maybe he's a kind of person that's gonna be broken really easily. He's got a lot of things going on with them. We better do a really thorough examination on them and maybe dig into their past or whatever, decide if this is really a person we should be putting into the Army. They don't really get into your medical history or your medical records, right? I mean, for the most part, if it's not something you're currently having to take medication for, then they probably don't care about it. The main kind of thing along with that is people always ask me questions about asthma, right? They're like, oh, when I was 13, I had asthma, but I currently don't use an inhaler or anything else like that. Do I need to tell my recruiter about that? If they don't ask about that, I wouldn't bring it up, right? They probably don't give a crap about that kind of a thing. If you are someone that currently uses an inhaler and you're about to join the Army, you're trying to talk to a recruiter to join the Army, and you can't run because you need that inhaler with you and you could be at risk of having an asthma attack, then yeah, you're probably not gonna be able to join the Army in the first place. But those are the kind of things you definitely don't wanna lie about, because you don't wanna be in a situation where you're getting smoked in basic training, you go on these runs and you're like, oh crap, I wish I had that inhaler, I'm probably having an asthma attack, I'm not passing out now, you don't wanna be in those situations. Maybe a good rule here is, if you're not really sure, talk to your doctor, right? Talk to your doctor, be like, hey, doc, I'm thinking about joining the Army, the military in general, whatever, and I know that I have this going on. Do you think that's something that could put me at risk if I join the military, if I join the Army? And get the guidance from the doctor if it's something you're not really sure about. Then maybe disclose it to the recruiter, right? If the doctor's like, I don't know, it could be a little bit iffy, maybe you should talk to the recruiter about it to see if that's a disqualifier, then sure. But if the doctor's like, yeah, no, don't worry about that. That's something you had in the past, that's something that's not currently affecting you, so you should be just fine. Another thing to probably not disclose to your recruiter is, let's say, certain criminal history. I'm not talking about hiding that I murdered a guy one time, or I got a DUI. I'm talking about things that maybe were in your past, like juvenile record that's maybe been expunged from that now. Those are some other common questions I get, is people ask me hey, when I was 16, I got arrested for this, but it's not on my record anymore. Then the recruiter probably doesn't care about it. Another one is oh, I got arrested for this, but they didn't convict me of it and they just dismissed the charges. The recruiter probably doesn't care about it. If it is something that's actually on your record, they're probably gonna find out about it anyway. So they're gonna do a background check on you. If they see that you have DUIs, you've got this criminal activity or whatever on your record, they're gonna know about it, they're gonna find out about it. So those kind of things, they're gonna find out about it. But if it's not something on your record, you don't need to disclose it. There's just no point. It's probably just wasting that recruiter's time. It may cause a little bit of, skepticism from that recruiter as to whether or not you should even join the Army in the first place. But if it's not something that's going to be on your criminal record, there's no need in bringing it up. If for some reason they ask you about things, then obviously, again, don't lie. Sometimes they want to get pretty in depth, especially if your MOS requires like a security clearance, and they're going to be like, hey, we're going to have to dig into your background to see if you're going to qualify for security clearance. So I want to know about things that, you were convicted of, not convicted of, everything, because we want to have a heads up as to how that security clearance is going to go. In those cases, maybe you do have to disclose every single thing. But if that's not the case, they don't ask about it, and it's not something you were convicted of, then it's probably something you can just kind of ignore and not have to tell them. Now, you may have noticed I'm actually rocking some different bracelets than I normally wear. That's because the awesome people over at SkeletonHD sent me over some awesome bracelets and sponsored this video. These things are pretty cool. I definitely recommend them. Maybe with Father's Day coming up, maybe you got a tattooed dad out there that likes skull stuff like I do. These would be a great Father's Day gift. So I will link down the description box down below a link to SkeletonHD as well as a pinned comment at the top so you can check them out and maybe purchase one for yourself or maybe some awesome dad out there or something. Now, one more thing that I'll recommend that you don't tell a recruiter is that you will only join the Army or the military if you can get this one specific job. The reason why I say that is if you tell them that that's the only reason you're going to join, right, is that if you can get this one specific job, then they probably are going to be under the impression that you're going to be someone that's going to be hard to work with. I'm not saying that you have to settle for another MOS that maybe you don't really want, but don't give off that impression that you only will join if this is the MOS that you can get. Definitely have like your top choice. Let's say 68 whiskey is your top choice. You really want to be a medic. You really want to be a 68 whiskey. Let them know. Sure, let them know. Say, hey, my top choice is I really want to be a 68 whiskey, but other MOSs that kind of sound interesting to me is maybe the 68 series, other MOS, right? Some other medical type of MOS. That way they know that you're a little bit open, right? Even if maybe necessarily you're not. It's probably a good idea to be open, right? I mean, there may be instances where you qualify for that MOS, you get great ASVAB scores, but it's just not available. So they're gonna be like, no, you can't get this MOS, it's not available, even though you qualify for it. Then maybe you should, look at ones that maybe you'll enjoy. Maybe go in there with some backup MOSs. But if there is a specific MOS that's the only reason you will join the Army, you don't want to go disclose that because they may have other recruits, other people that are trying to join the Army that are open to other MOSs, and if you tell them that you're only interested in this one specific MOS, then they know you're gonna be a little harder to satisfy. So they're gonna be working more of their time with these other individuals because they feel like there's a greater chance that they can get them into the Army and maybe only dedicating a little bit of time here and there for you to try to get you into the Army because they know that you're really picky about a specific MOS. If that is your goal, that you will only join the Army if you get this one specific MOS, then cool. And then I'm not saying to settle for an MOS, but you probably shouldn't go and give that impression to the recruiter. Otherwise, you may not get as much time as certain other individuals. There are some MOSs you probably could be that way. You probably could tell them that, yes, I will only join if I can get infantry, if I can get 18 X-ray, 11 X-ray. Those ones, because there's always a huge demand for those MOSs, you'd probably be fine. They'd be like, great, yeah, we have a high demand for that MOS and we really need people to join those. So yeah, I'm gonna work hard to try to get you into the MOS because I need to fill those slots. Those ones you probably wouldn't have a problem with telling them that I only want that MOS. But if you're trying to tell them that I will only join if I can be a firefighter, if I can be a 17 Charlie, the cybersecurity MOS, or some other obscure ones that's really hard to get, they know that you're really picky and they may not be willing to dedicate a lot of their time to you. Now, if you are someone who wants to join the Army, but you're not too sure what job you want to do, what MOS you want to do in the Army, you're undecided kind of a thing, I have a video to maybe help you make that decision right here. So check out that video. If you haven't seen my latest video upload, I got it right here available for you. Check out the links down in the description for SkeletonHD, for my social media, a bunch of other things. So check out the links down in the description box. Thanks for watching. Hit that thumbs up. I'm Christopher Chaos, and I'll see you next time. See ya.